More proof now that the COVID-19 virus is in fact worse than the flu. The CDC says COVID-19 was the third leading cause of death in the U.S. last year, behind cancer and heart disease. The flu was ranked number 9. As more people get vaccinated, the hope is coronavirus will no longer be the number 3 killer. So have you received your vaccine yet? And once you do, how will this change how you live? To answer that and more, we are joined by Dr. David Zich with Northwestern Medicine. Good morning to you, Dr. Zich. Let's get right to it. The CDC says more than 15% of Americans have now been fully vaccinated, and more than 93 million people have received at least one dose of the 2 vaccines. So let's talk about what can you do now. It's spring break. If you've gotten at least one dose or are fully vaccinated, is it safe to travel? Is it safe to go to opening day at the Cubs today?
So everything has to be taken within the context of what it means to be fully immunized. And what that means is that still, with maximum immunity, if you have a significant exposure to the virus, you have at least a 5% chance of getting sick. So you are not completely immune, and at least 2 of my patients have still come down with COVID despite the immunization. This illness that you get is going to be milder. You shouldn't wind up in the hospital, and you shouldn't certainly die. But you have to then weigh what's important. The CDC has still recommended against airline travel, even if you're fully immunized, mainly because of the variants that are out there, and even some that will still be emerging, and how that plays into the immunity that you get from the vaccine. So we still want people to be very careful, and then they have to make individualized decisions as to what they want to do and the risk they want to take.
Okay, so if you do decide to travel and you are fully vaccinated, do you still need to quarantine or get tested when you return home if you come from one of those red states?
Great question. Once again, the CDC is fairly clear on this. They do want you to quarantine and follow every guideline as if you were not vaccinated. And the reason, again, is because of the variants and the fact that the immunizations may not protect you significantly against some of these. So yes, you still have to quarantine, and you can get tested to make sure that you don't carry the virus.
Okay, so what happens if you are fully vaccinated and you are then exposed to someone who has coronavirus?
This seems almost paradoxical to the previous recommendations, but the CDC said if you're fully vaccinated and you have a significant exposure, you actually do not have to quarantine if you meet 3 criteria. First, you have to be at least 2 weeks out from your final vaccine. Second of all, you can't be more than 3 months out from your final vaccine, because we still are gathering data as to how long this vaccine lasts. And people like myself that were immunized very early, I'm coming up to that 3-month mark. Finally, you can't have any symptoms of coronavirus whatsoever. But as long as you meet those 3 criteria, you do not have to quarantine. But they do want you monitoring very closely for 14 days for any symptoms. And if you get them, you need to quarantine immediately and get tested.
And I'm going to jump in here before the next question, because there was some breaking news this morning that shows that the vaccine now appears to last for 6 months. That just came out this morning, and I'm sure as time goes on, we'll see if it lasts even longer. So that's good news too. Okay, so what if you are not fully vaccinated, but your family is? Is it okay to visit your loved ones, say your grandparents?
Once again, this is an individual decision. You can still, obviously, without the vaccine, carry that virus to them, and they can still get sick under very rare circumstances, 5% of the time, and that will be a mild illness. So in general, people are becoming more lax. They are choosing to go to family members' houses. But one of the people that got sick that was fully immunized, that was from a family gathering exposure. So you can still get sick, and you have to take that into account.
Okay, let's talk about those people waiting to get the vaccine, because it has opened up now, and now a huge group of people can now get vaccinated here in Illinois and in Chicago. What do you want them to know about vaccine side effects? For instance, I was told don't take ibuprofen, drink plenty of water before and after. What do you want people to know before they get vaccinated?
So both of those are good recommendations. Staying well hydrated, especially before the vaccine or getting the vaccine, will decrease the chances of you feeling faint beforehand, or I'm sorry, when you get the immunization. The whole don't take ibuprofen or acetaminophen, in other words, Motrin, Advil, Tylenol, etc., before the vaccine comes from a little bit of data that we've had actually dating back to the 1970s, where they said people and even children that took these painkillers before a vaccine tended to have a slightly blunted response to any immunization. For that reason, we don't recommend people take Tylenol, Motrin, etc. before they actually get the vaccine. However, after the vaccine and several hours later, as some of the side effects might start coming in, you shouldn't hesitate to take Tylenol, which is still the safest, or even Motrin, Advil, ibuprofen, etc. They had no restrictions when they were doing their testing of the vaccine, and all of the efficacy data comes from people, even those that took those painkillers for side effects.
Okay, I'm going to jump to question number 8 because we're out of time. Pfizer says its vaccine is safe for children 12 and under. What could this mean for school in the fall?
Oh, it's terrific. I was very happy to hear that because actually last month, Dr. Fauci came out and said he didn't think the kids would be vaccinated until 2022. That has great implications not only for going to school, but also for the virus in itself, because about 20% of people are 16 years and under in the United States. So this is another blow to the spread of the virus in general.
Yeah, well, and this is good news. I know a lot of kids are hoping that they can get back, and the parents and teachers, so we'll wait and see what happens. Dr. Zich, thank you. All great questions today to you, and you always give us the best answers so we know what's going on. We appreciate your time. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.